Hey, what's up, everybody? Kendall here. Welcome back to another episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. And I'm excited about today. As you guys have known, well, man, like 2 weeks ago was a long video. Last week was a long video. This week we're gonna keep it shorter. The last 2 weeks, the ball was getting stuck in the game and just not moving down the court very well. And I listened to the episodes and went back and was like, I need to work on that. But I was just kind of out of it mentally. And I know that I'm sure some of you guys have had weeks where you're just out of it. We went through the kids being sick. Libby and I missed the date. We went through, kids being out of they go to their mommy days out 2 days a week, just to help Libby and her bandwidth to be able to maintain, good bandwidth for the week because she stays home with the kiddos. And so not having that for the holidays, and then they were sick. So they obviously they didn't go to school, and they were needing like extra, spinning everything back up at work. And then this last week was just kind of getting back in the groove. We had a snow day on Monday, which was so exciting, but the kids didn't get school again, and so they're gonna go. We'll be back because they go 2 days a week, and they'll be back for the second time, which is going to be really good, especially for Libby, just to kind of free up some bandwidth. And Libby and I got to go on a date this week, which is super exciting because, as any of you who guys are following along at this time know, that Libby and I were going to go thrift store shopping and buy some stuff for the Double Dare Your Money. And so this has been 3 weeks. We've been trying to get out to go do this. But it's been a good 3 weeks. Libby and I should say, especially Libby, I'll give credit to her. She really, surfs Pinterest a lot, knows what's trending, knows what people like, knows what she's passionate about. And so we went to the thrift store, and I was just looking for what caught her eye. And I actually just uploaded a video to YouTube, which is kind of more of behind the scenes of everything that we got. And I was showing the box. We were in our room, and I was showing the box of like everything that we got that night after we had purchased everything. It was last night when I'm recording this, but not whenever this gets uploaded. And we got, I think it was like 12 different mugs, and we got 4 plates, and we got like, it's called a colander, but I always call it a strainer, but it's like a big metal bowl with the holes in it. And anyways, on everything that we got, we're gonna roughly looking at what things are selling for right now. We should 2, 3, 4x our money. And when we looked at prices, everybody that was pricing their stuff, it was plus shipping. And so we don't have to account for shipping as a part of our costs. And we got some good deals where we went. The thing to remember, as we're starting to get into the Double Dare Your Money. By the way, like, most of the content is going to stay underneath the Double Dare Your Money videos, but obviously as we're talking, things are going to come up. But the thing to remember is, with investments, the way to increase your ROI, your return on investment, is to either increase the value of the product when you go to sell it, or to decrease the cost at which you purchase it. So flipping these items is just like flipping a house. Let's say that I went and I found something that was all covered with dust, and it was just, nasty, but I could tell that it was a diamond in the rough. Maybe I bring that home and clean it up before I sell it, because I realize that there's hidden value there. Now, most of the stuff that we found, actually, I think all this stuff was pretty well clean. And so there's not really much of an ability to increase the value final outside of understanding who our buyer pool is for these specific items and marketing it to them in such a way that they find it to be desirable. Because obviously, like, for example, there was these plates. We bought them for $7 each, which Libby told me was kind of expensive for a thrift store, but it was the only thrift store we could go to. She said they'll sell. She's confident in that. They'll sell for about $15 a plate. And so we couldn't really do anything about our initial value, because there was no bargaining, obviously, with the guy there at the thrift store on what we were going to buy this for. But because it was just sitting there collecting dust at the thrift store for $7 a plate, but I know that I can go list them, and if I have the right message, the right marketing, I can sell that to the right audience for $15 a plate. So I can therefore double my money on that investment. So you guys can track along there with us. Flipping houses the same way. I can go into a house, and if I'm really good at negotiating and sales, and I figure out, what's the why reason of why they're selling and how to help somebody, through this process, I can get maybe a better deal than somebody else could who has no training on negotiation or even what they're looking for, how margins work, and all that kind of stuff. I get better deals now than I did 5 years ago, just because I understand so much about these deals and how they work and stuff, and also the process and deal flow that I'm working in and stuff like that. Um, Now, with that said, there's also a lot of things that you can do to increase the value, right? Whenever you have like a house that needs a lot of work, whenever you fix it up, you can increase the value. I do the same thing with land development. We'll go buy, for example, we've got one land development right now that's about to hit the market that I JV'd on with Nathan Bowers and joint ventured, and I'm really excited for that one to go live here soon. That one was 13 acres in Alvarado that we were splitting up into 6 different lots. And so that's how we are increasing. We tried to bring the value down, the price that we paid a little bit. We negotiated whenever we purchased it. It was on the market. So we got them down. They had initially listed high, had been sitting. After they had been sitting so long and they had dropped their price a little bit, we came in low, they countered, and we countered all the way up to the middle. So we got a decent, not amazing, but a decent purchase price. But then we're adding a ton of value by splitting it up and getting the utilities ready to go. And so we're going to make money there. And so the whole purpose, and now I'm going to get off my sales pitch for Double Dare Your Money, which it's free, right now for the 0 to 1,000. So it's not really a pitch, but, you know, uh, my point in all of this is that I've been to tax sales. I have, and we're going to start, me and Libby are going to start investing in tax sales this year, 2024. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm going through the Cash Flow Academy with Andy Tanner on the stocks and things of this nature to learn how to create value and create cash flow and income off dividends and stuff like that. I've personally flipped houses. I've personally developed land. I've actually personally, sold stuff to thrift stores and stuff before. I've personally had other small businesses, especially Libby and I had like a woodworking business in high school, and we could go into all that. But at the end of the day, whether it be, whether it be wood that you buy at Home Depot that you put together in such a way to sell, you're increasing the value of by putting energy into that product. That's a lot more active income than we're looking to do here with Double Dare Your Money. When you look though at buying and selling items from a thrift store, or you look at buying and selling land, or you look at buying, developing, and selling parcels of land, or you look at buying and selling houses, or buying, rehabbing, and selling houses, all of that is within the same spectrum. The only difference is when you look at, a cup, for example, these cups, we bought these cups for like $4 and we're going to sell them for like $11. So you look at a cup that I bought for $4 and I can sell for 11, right? You look at a tax sale lot that I can buy for $500 and sell for 1,000, maybe 1,200, maybe 1,500. You look at a more expensive tax lot that I can buy for 2 or 3,000, and I might sell it for 4, 6, 8, maybe 10,000, right? You look at a land, or let's say we look at the house. You look at a house that we can buy for 150,000, put $20,000-$30,000 into it, sell it for 250,000, have about 10% in costs. So that brings us to 225, right? We bought it for, in that case, we said 150. We put 30 into it. We're at 180. So on a house like that, that's probably a little bit bigger spread than we normally make on deals. But in that scenario, you're talking about a $45,000 spread. So we probably, in that case, have bought that house more for like 160. We do get some really good deals. We also get some less good deals. And so to meet in the middle, we probably buy that type of house for like 160. Or maybe we bought it for 150 and actually put more like 40 into it, which would be fair. And then you look at a land development where, you buy this, I can think of one particular example is this Alvarado one. We bought it for somewhere, I can't remember the exact number, but somewhere in the ballpark of 300,000. We're putting like 3 months into the land development process and holding it and the holding costs of that over time. The way I've structured and we've structured the deals is in the JV that we're doing is I'm actually doing the work and I'm not putting any of the funds up. And so that's 100% other people's money. And so that's a deal structure that we've talked about before. Because I have $4 to buy a cup, but I don't have $300,000 that I want to invest into one piece of land. Nor at this point, to be honest with you guys, do I have $300,000 to invest into a single deal or any deal, um, for that matter. But you buy this for 300,000, right? We put between holding costs, if we hold it for 3 months or for 6 months between buying and everything being sold, or at least being to our break even point, you're looking at probably 20 grand in holding costs, 10,000 or so in development costs. And that's just for the replat. If we have to pull on utilities, we might be able to get some allowances on the electrical meters. Each of the water meters will probably cost us like $1,000 to $2,000 if I remember correctly. It's been a minute since I've looked at those bids. We've got 6 lots, so you're looking at like $10,000 in the water meters. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to get the electrical meters for free if we put our structures by the road. And at that point, we could choose to bring in mobile homes if we wanted to increase the value. That's something that Nathan and his team, they've been dabbling with and looking into. It's something I'm really interested in one day to be able to pursue that route as well. Doing new builds. There's plenty of people that, if we partnered with them, they could put a new build on that site and increase the value. But all of that to be said is we took this piece of land, got it for, I think it was actually like 350. Our all-in costs on it are going to be around like 380. And once these are all divided, we're going to be able to sell the whole thing for, I think it was like right in the like I think the smaller lots were like 100,000 a piece, bigger lots were like 150 a piece. So I think it'll be like 450 plus 3, like 750. You got 10% in closing costs, so that'll be like 75. Let's knock off another 25 in case we get like some lower offers. So that puts us around like 650 out. And our all in, let's just say it's 400. We'll bump that up by 20 for easy math, and also just to kind of balance that. So $350,000 profit on roughly $400,000 investment. And we did that on 13 acres in Alvarado. So you can see how that is actually pretty similar to what we're doing here with cups and plates. We can do a very similar type thing. It takes a little bit more work. It definitely takes some more time and energy. It takes a lot more capital. But we can do a very similar thing with cups and plates as what we can do with 13 acres, as we can do with, a single family residential brick home. I know there's people that can force appreciation inside of commercial buildings and apartments and things of that nature. That's not my skill set yet. Maybe one day I or my team will get there, but I'm not going to even pretend that that's my skill set. I've never done that before. I've heard of it. I've seen it. I've seen it, secondhand as people talk about it. I've never seen it firsthand. I've never been a part of a deal like that, but it is possible. So you just continue to scale these deals bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why I'm so excited and so passionate about Double Dare Your Money, is because I want people to realize it's more of a mindset thing than anything. And you can start with a very small amount of capital to start flipping your money, flipping your money, flipping your money. Because if you can build the right mindset with a small amount of money and get really consistently good at it, you're going to be able to build that confidence, build that success, build that momentum to be able to level up, level up, level up. From 0 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000 to 100,000. You just keep doubling. We're doubling from like 75 to 150 to 300 to 600 to $1,200. All of a sudden, we went from 0 to 1,000 as we kept doubling and doubling and doubling, and we broke through that threshold, right? And then from there, you're going from 1,200 to 2,400 to 4,800 to like I think it's 9,600, and then all of a sudden you're breaking that $10,000 threshold. It's like boom, you just double, and then breakthrough, right? And then you're just going to keep doing it. You're going to break through the 10,000. It's just going to take momentum. It's going to take consistent steps, but you might have to level up your game, right? We'll go from buying some thrift store items here and there to where we turn this into a consistently churning thing, right? And then eventually it's going to hit this point where, it churns and churns and it has to build and grow. But I want to keep this episode a little bit shorter. So for everything else, for what's happening in Double Dare Your Money, make sure that you go check out. I've got a whole series on YouTube. It's going to be for 0 to 1,000 on Double Dare Your Money. And then once we break through 1,000, I'm probably going to put together a website for it. And just to be honest with you guys, I'm going to figure out how I can monetize it. And I don't want to, necessarily I don't want to wipe anybody out on what it's going to cost to continue growing through it. But my hope is like, hey, I want to deliver value, but also then in that, I want to get paid to deliver that value so I can continue to do that for my job. Um, but anyways, all that to be said, the name of this episode, the title of this episode is actually The Discipline of Learning. And a verse that was shared with me this week that was powerful for me was Hebrews 12:11. No discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. And that's so true. When I think about the last 5 years that I've been going through this entrepreneurial journey. It's been painful. It's been difficult, but it's been good. And even last night in the car, whenever Libby and I were driving home from our date. Um, I just told Libby, I was like, I feel like this is gonna work this time because we're finally doing it together. And for 5 years, I just couldn't find a direction. And now that I have my mission statement and I have my focus and I've got the wealthy legacy journey, which I'm passionate about and helping these people, and I'm excited about double dare your money, like I finally feel like I have a why. Like I'm not just making money just to make money. I have a why reason. And as you guys know, and I don't have my double dare your money envelope, I don't have my investment envelope with me right now, but we wrote our why reason inside and put it in that envelope. And a huge part of my reason was to help other people to see what was possible. And that's a huge part of my why reason for Double Dare Your Money, right? A huge part of the why reason for the whole wealthy legacy journey in and of itself is so I can show my kids what I was going through when I hit this point, but also if there's anybody else that wants to learn and grow and walk this path, that they have that opportunity to see me just do it. Like not hear me just talk about what it was like, but I want to show people like, here's what worked, here's what didn't work. So maybe you guys can avoid some of the pain that I walk through. But at least to see that it's possible. My biggest thing is I want to show people that this is real, this is possible, and this is the path that it takes. You don't have to be born into wealth. I was by no means born into wealth. Now, if you look at it from a perspective of the United States, I have been exuberantly blessed for the country that I've been born in, and for that type of life that I was born in. From that sense, yes, when you look at it on a global scale, I was born into wealth, and I think that's something that we have to understand. Any of us that live in the United States, anybody that lives outside the United States, don't worry. I have in my mind a long-term goal of working to figure out how to prove this out everywhere. Because I don't want this to be just for people who were born in like maybe what you would consider to be more of a privileged first world type of society. I want everyone to have access to figure out how to grow and better themselves, to grow and better their lives, to expand their wealth and be able to get on sure footing. But for now, this is where I'm at. So this is the tools that I have in my tool bag to start with. So we're going to start here. Another thing that was really powerful for me this week that I made a note of is this Sunday was the first Sunday and probably in a long time that Libby and I practiced a full rest day, a full Sabbath day. And oh my goodness, was it a game changer. When I went to bed Saturday night, between when I went to bed on Saturday night and when I went to bed on Sunday night, in between those times, I was exhausted. I don't know if you noticed, like the last 2 weeks, my videos have been absolutely just whooped. And I slept for 13 hours. Most of that was at night. Libby was such a blessing to help take care of the kids. I went after we got home from church, we ate lunch, and I went down, and I mean, I just crashed for a nap. Slept for like 3 hours. Shortly after, Libby put the girls down, and it was her and KB for a long time. And then she came, and we swapped, and I took the girls as they were waking up, and Libby got a good nap as well. But man, like that was just a game changer. Like if you're trying to go 7 days a week, it just isn't going to work. Even for Libby and I, we bought these dishes, and I was like, okay, now we've got quite a few dishes, because Libby's got stuff that she's already purchased. And then we've got the stuff that we just bought for the Double Dare Your Money. And we got a couple other little things around the house that we're selling because we're just, working to like, hey, what does this look like to throw, small amounts of capital and build and grow? And like I said, I'm not going to be doing capital injections with Double Dare Your Money because I want to show you guys this raw and real. But if I was you, and you start getting, some momentum with the thrift store items, start injecting capital into that momentum out of your paycheck, out of other things that you can sell, right? And continue to grow that snowball as fast as you can. while being consistent and wise and disciplined. Um, but anyways, so our goal, I said, hey, I think a great goal would be to have all this stuff up and listed by Saturday night. And so that way, by the time we come into Sunday, we don't have to. It's done. It's off our plate. Like I don't even pretend we're gonna do it Sunday. Sunday is gonna be another great restful day, another great Sabbath day. But we really need to get all this stuff listed now. And so, as you guys know, my big goal was to be able to purchase everything and spend through majority of my capital. So I spent through like $71.28, I think it was, something like that, 71 some change. In maybe it was $72, somewhere like right up there. I had like $74.58 and I spent through like 71, 72 bucks, something like that. So that's capital spent. My goal was to get all that, to have acquired everything by the end of January, because I knew I could go through that much capital. And who out here thinks maybe you could spend $70 in a month? I think most of us probably spend $70 in a month. And so we bought everything, and now it's going to go live. That's going to give me about like 9 or 10 weeks till the end of March to get everything sold to double my money. And as you guys know, we're double, two, three, 4xing our money depending on the item. So my hope is that we're actually going to double our money well before the end of March, and then we're going to be able to enter that next phase sooner. And who knows how fast we're going to be able to crank out this 0 to 1,000 journey on Double Dare Your Money. That's going to be really exciting. But anyways, so the first Double Dare Your Money purchase is done, which is super cool. And we're about to start listing it. So next week, I'm hoping to be able to share with you guys like what the name of the shops are. I think Libby's already got the Etsy shop set up. We're gonna have an eBay shop. So what the name of the shops are. And as we're just going through, the last 5 years have really been a discipline of learning. But anybody who's going to follow on this Double Dare Your Money challenge is really going to experience the discipline of learning, just in the fact of like these are going to be small wins, big wins from an ROI standpoint, small wins from a cash inflow standpoint. And Libby and I have the capital and the resources to be able to do much more than $74 or $72 really is what we purchased. $72 worth of purchases. But the purpose of this journey really is, how can I spend such a small amount that it isn't going to hurt me if I end up being wrong on those dishes and I lose it all and I have to restart. Um, that's a part of the purpose. And, when you have that little capital, it's easy to go, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. And I'm just going to try something. And, because I don't want it to be like, well, crap, like I can't pay rent this month, or I've spent through all my emergency savings or something like that because I did this challenge. That's why I kept it really small. Um, it's I think it's going to be it's an amount that you can start with, you can try with. It's plenty to be able to learn the mindset, though. The mindset being, how do I find something with a really good ROI, and how do I take action to execute on a plan? And so, this initial part of the journey for Double Dare Your Money, a huge part of execution is going to be figuring out how to set up an Etsy shop, how to set up an eBay shop, how to figure out what shipping looks like how to figure out all these different things. There's going to be so many things that we're figuring out behind the scenes. And while I would absolutely love to record it all, and maybe I can record some of it, there's going to be some things that I just am not going to be able to record because, as you guys know, I also have a day job. I've got, the kids. I've got, still got to spend time with Libby, and I've got a whole bunch of other things. And so this can't consume my life. It's going to be an important part of my life. Investing should be an important part of your life as well, as it's going to be an important part of my life. But I'm going to try to record as much content as I can for you guys, but obviously it isn't going to be everything. So that's pretty much all I have for today. And my big goal was to keep today's episode shorter. And so make sure, I guess the one thing I would say as we're kind of like closing out the episode, though, is please go check out the Double Dare Your Money. And eventually, I've already reserved the URL. We're going to have doubledareyourmoney.com. And I think it's going to be just really cool project to be a part of, and to see grow and just come to fruition. And just so you guys know, what I'm personally researching in the background is I'm going through and really looking at what does it look like to retire off of dividend income? What does it look like to build up enough capital to where you can have consistent cash flow and at a higher level? Because I'm already thinking about, okay, we're on 0 to 1,000. And so you guys kind of know what my forward trajectory is right now. I'm thinking like, okay, 0 to 1,000, it's not going to cost anything. So that's going to be absolutely, free to everybody, so I'm just uploading as I go. Once I hit the $1,000 mark, from 1,000 to 10,000, I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to go through the journey, and then once I hit that 10,000, I'm going to publish it out there, and then it's going to be able to be like, hey, do you want to come into the program? And right now, I'm thinking that it'll be like, 24.99 or something like that a month. And so it's like, hey, you got to 1,000, like use some of that capital, slowly drip through it as you're, following along with us to get from 1,000 to 10,000. And then once you get to 10,000, you're going from 10,000 to 100,000. There's going to kind of be like a graduation break. Like you go from 1,000 to 10,000. And in the background, as I'm publishing that and hopefully teaching people, I'm personally going from 10,000 to 100,000 on my own. And then once I figure out that journey, I'm going to publish it out to everybody. And anybody who's hitting that point, if they're ready to break through to go from, where they're at around like the $10,000 mark, maybe they've broken through that a little bit and they're ready to go to 100,000, they can join that content. They can join the classes. And that'll probably, be a subscription that jumps up from $24.99 to $249.99 a month. But you have to think, in that case, you have $10,000 of capital. You're spending $249.99 a month, and our goal is to go from the 10,000 to 100,000 within about a year or two. So the goal is that this is like becomes like a teaching, maybe slightly coaching. I have no idea exactly what the program would look like, but it's able to help escalate you through the different levels. And really, my big goal in increasing the pricing at each level is like, hey, if you have $1,000 of capital, you should not be paying $249 a month to be a part of the group. Because obviously in 4 months, you're going to burn through all your capital. So you have to stay where you're at. I don't want anybody to try to rush ahead on where they should be. There again, if you have $10,000, you really need to be learning the material that we're going through and really working to grow, because $249 a month is, at that pace, it's about $3,000 a year. And so if you have $10,000, you need to continue being able to grow past that point, or else it is going to eat through your capital in about 2 or 3 years. But obviously, if you're trying to hit $100,000 in about a year or two, you'll be able to well grow past that point. But then let's say that, my mindset in this as well is like, well, let's say that you've hit that $10,000 point and you're like, I don't really want to go from 10,000 to 100,000. Well, you're, stuck at this like $10,000 threshold, and you might have like a really good hobby that's creating some side money. You got a good side hustle, but it's not that next level investment. Sure, you're only paying $24.99 a month, and you have, plenty of cash coming in, but it almost becomes insignificant. And, really, I think by the time that we hit 1,000, we are going to have figured out a good system. By the time we get to 10,000, I think that our first system, in this case being the thrift store shopping, is probably going to be much more automatic and cash flowing. And then my hope from there is like, okay, next step for us, for example, just to kind of look in the future, is going to be, okay, let's figure out tax sales. And so we're figuring out tax sales and we're investing a little bit here and there, same concept, like, hey, we're not going to go bet the farm on it. We're going to start with a small amount out of our cash flowing over here from, the thrift store shopping stuff. We're going to put a little bit over into tax sales, a little bit into tax sales, a little bit into tax sales. And we're just pulling a little bit out, but this thing over here is still churning. And then it's like, okay, now you got this tax sale, like, vroom, 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 like think of an engine trying to turn over. And all of a sudden, then one day you'll turn around and be like, okay, the thrift store over here is spending really good. The tax sales are spending really good, as it's carrying us up to the $100,000 mark. And you might hit a point where it's like, man, these tax sales are making so much money. It's time to turn off the thrift store because it's time to go to the next level. And so you've got so many spending plates, you're like, okay, maybe at that point you're like, I'm thinking about not working. I'm thinking about doing this full time, which is really exciting. You're thinking about, okay, maybe it's time to turn the thrift store off because the tax sales are making way more cash flow than the thrift store is. I only have so much bandwidth to spend so many plates. And now I'm thinking like I've got these tax sales and I'm thinking about upgrading, going to the next level of deals so I can go from 100,000 to a million. And so that's my whole thought process behind Double Dare Your Money, what it looks like, what that ladder of growth looks like, is really going through, speaking of ladder of growth, I know I said I was like almost done. But I promise I'm almost done. I just get like super excited about this. I want to find, let me not open this up on my computer because it's going to mess with the recording here. Bear with me. Let's see. Google Doc. Oh, where is this at? This should be under the Wealthy Legacy Journey. There it is. This is a Wealthy Legacy Journey resources page that I'm referring to. I actually refer back to this quite often. The ladder of leverage and growth. So the first thing that most people do is they're investing into other people's syndications and funds. And this is when they're in a state of ignorance. The second step is where they have their personal cash. They are, they have awareness and understanding of what's going on. And this is part of, I would say if you're in the double dare your money, this is the 5 to 6 figures. This is at 10 to $100,000. You're really starting. You've built up, an awareness. You're starting to build up a good understanding for what this process looks like. By the time you're going to hit, a couple thousand, 10,000, working your way up to 100,000, you're using your personal cash. And then you start hitting this point where you get to step number 3, which is where you're looking at. Some people will look at debt. We're really probably not going to look at debt, but more like high percentage JV partnerships. Looking at flip and paper contracts, stuff like that. This will be like the 6 to 7 figures, and then from there you're like managing your own, funds and stuff like that. Where it's where you're kind of transitioning from like high percentage JV partnerships to lower cost just management fees for managing. They call it under money under management or something like that in the big like fund world, and all things ahead of my time. Like, it's good for us to have a trajectory of like, okay, here's where we want to go, so we can make sure that we're on that path. But don't get so wrapped up in the future. I've made this mistake countless times. Don't get so wrapped up in the future that you can't be where you're at today. So anyways, that's just a little bit of a taste of what's happening with Double Dare Your Money. We've got the first purchase done. There's a lot of growth to come in the future. So please make sure that you guys are staying up to date with that, joining me for Double Dare Your Money. I hope that you're double daring your money and you're going to be growing it. We're going to close out the episode right quick with our identity mantra. So say after me: I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. And don't forget, guys, wealthy is simply the ability to cover your monthly expenses without having to lift a finger. Think rental income, think dividends, especially rental income if there's like a property manager managing it for you, right? You're building your wealth as the asset appreciates. But really the wealth that you're looking at is the cash flow off of the dividends, off of the rent, and then the appreciation on the asset is just a bonus. Right? We're not fixated and hinged and stressed out about the value of the asset. Really, we're more focused on the value of the cash flow. And then also legacy is leaving a long-lasting impact on others who come after you as they receive the fruit of your labor, whether that fruit be good or bad. We are going to leave fruit, so make sure that you're leaving good fruit behind. Guys, as always, don't forget to check out the Google Docs for the links to any of the books that we've talked about, any of the resources, even the quote that we just talked about, that ladder of success. Go on there. I've got Amazon affiliate links to the some of the books and to the Cash Flow board game by Robert Kiyosaki and some other great stuff. And if you go through the Amazon affiliate links, it really helps me out, helps out the channel. And with all that said, this has been another episode dedicated to you and your own personal wealthy legacy journey. It was awesome hanging out with you guys, and I will see y'all next week.